dog, one child, one youth, one dog, you think big, you. Together we can do this in our continent, you. Think big, you. I say one dog, one child, one youth, one dog, you. Think big, you. Together we can do this in our continent, you. Think big, you.
It is the last day of June, which is the 30th, 2022. We are now about to leave the first half of 2022 to go to the latter half or the bottom half as we approach 2023. I can recall earlier this year, I already gave out the theme for 2023. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that I gave the first theme intact, think big. Think big. And then we have what it was, dream and become after. And then in one voice we win. And so I put out the theme for 2023, Year of Abundance. Year of Abundance. Your year of abundance. And so for that to happen, we must lay the foundation, as we have been doing from since 2019, having given birth just about a year ago. Yes, in this same month last year. So here we are in an era that all of us are making history. Whether you want to believe it or not, all of us in the Tiashan community, in the crypto space, are creating history. The question is, what will history speak of us? Because when an era, a new era, being introduced, it was not introduced without resistance and skeptics. When the internet was introduced some decades ago, it was mocked. It was a mockery to many people. A matter of fact, even educators resist the use of the internet, even technology. Even when the computer came in, many educators, because their children were smarter than them with the technology, they even resisted it. I have personal experience of especially a family member, a holder of 2 master's degrees, one in education, one in health. When technology was advancing, my dear cause did not embrace it. But of course, the price was paid for it. And so the dot-com bubble came and created a lot of millionaires. Those who saw beyond the noise, just like Eric Finman, that saw beyond the noise. When educators were being skeptical, when educators are seeking for 1+1 answers, because the more technical you are, is the more likely for you to remain poor. Because that is how you're educated. You were schooled to have control, especially teachers. You must have control over the subject. There is no room for guesswork. There's simply no room for what you cannot explain. And so because you cannot explain this technology, most of you will be left behind. I'm talking about educators now. They were left behind. A matter of fact, educators have been left behind with all the industries that came out. It's basically DAFs without even the high school diplomas were made billionaires and millionaires through all these industries because they're too smart for themselves. And so this morning I look at the one article about UNICAF celebrating with 5 million scholarships to Africa. You know, every time since I listened to that video that I sent you, I think last Saturday or Sunday, in the forum of the good gentleman explaining the ideology behind Africa's poverty, and that the African poverty is not by guesswork or by accident. It is by design. It's a calculated design to keep Africa poor, because the world needs Africa resources at no cost. They don't care. There's no integrity. And these are the people. These are the grandsons of our slave masters that gave us the Bible, that gave us, as it were, a book that should guide our conscience. And you ask yourself the question, where are their consciences? Where are their conscience? While they're giving you something to guide you, what is guiding them? That's the question. What is guiding them? And so, whenever, and the Tiashians, you see, we cannot be ignorant. This is the era of light. This is the era of awakening. It is for this reason you were born. A lot of you still do not know your purpose. But this is the reason you were born. There's always an era where an event, a person, a movement that decided to go opposite the ills. Even in biblical history, there's always someone that stood against the majority. It was Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that stood against the kingdom of those days. It was Elijah and Mount Carmel that stood against the cult of those days. It was David that stood against the Goliaths in those days. It was Esther who stood up and said, my position is worth perishing for. My position is worth perishing for. It was John, is it John the Baptist that was beheaded because of the truth? Yes, John the Baptist, called John the Revelator. Under inspiration that wrote Revelation. And so in every period, Noah, they all stood up in the era against wickedness. Samson. So in every period, you have a movement, a person, an event that you can reference to. Even the Infinite, when he came, he went against the religious establishment for their hypocrisy and their wickedness. The very institution that's supposed to lead with integrity, honesty, he came against. And they're the one that kill him, by the way. It's the church. His own people. He said, I came, but they rejected me. And so this is another era. The principle remains the same because there's nothing new under the sun. And it is the truth. It is the truth that silenced these people. It is the truth and the integrity that silenced Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. It was the truth that silenced him, and his integrity and his position that he will not continue the madness. It was the truth that silenced Patrice Lumumba from the Central African Republic. It was the truth that silenced Olympia from the Congolese. It was the truth that silenced Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. It is the truth that silenced Julius Nyerere out of Tanzania. It was the truth that silenced Gaddafi. It was the truth that silenced Michel out of Mozambique, and many other African and Caribbean leaders were silenced because their conscience will not allow them, like the consciences of the leaders today. Not all of them, because some of them have resisted the system, the WHO system. And that is why every time the elites want to create global havoc, they use a black man. It was Obama. He will go down as the worst president that ever lived from the United States, the gay president. He will go down as. Take out Gaddafi with the help of the Clintons. They don't love black people. The WHO is the look when COVID came in under a black man, an alleged criminal out of Ethiopia that is headed the WHO. Anytime you want evil upon your own people, they always put your people in front because we do not love our own and we are easily bought and sold. We are easily bought and sold because all these men that were silenced, they were silenced by their own people within their circles. It was not strangers among them. It was not a different race that they use. And it will be no different today. The day you wake up one day and you heard abundance is silence, is on the other side. No is no stranger, is my own people. Because they will use, TAC is now under attack from many sources, and you guys don't know it. I say a lot of things I couldn't say, and I still can't speak because I'm not ready yet to go under. But just to let you know that TAC mission, vision to expose the ills for centuries, like Marcus Garvey that started it, to put Africa on his feet, Gaddafi, all of them that saw the vision, that want to stop the financial genocide, the same ideology that this man was talking about. They saw it. Our situation is not by chance, it's by design. Why should you send your children to university to only come out prostituting themselves on the streets and in bars, restaurants, in clubs? When you send them to school, university students, just to graduate with degrees, to ride bikes, to be messengers, to be pushing water and cutting woods. No job is degrading. But this is our condition. One ambassador told me in one of the African countries that we have over 40,000 graduates, youths on the street walking like headless chickens, cannot get opportunities. And are we in the Tiashan community that have the form of diamond in our hands, and we're playing with it because we're thinking about our own selves? Personal greed that has kept us where we are for centuries. Greed, ignorance, and selfishness. Because we know that those that we are electing every year does not worth the salt, but you still do it anyway because you don't have no conscience. That's what it is. Oh, my grandmother was a labor, and so my mother was a labor, and I was born labor, and I will die labor. That's the nonsense that you can hear in my country. That's the nonsense you can hear. Oh, I was a UPP. Oh, no, I was a ASCLM. Oh, I was a PLM. And I'm a this and I'm a that. And that's it. I will die. I will die. You will die what? The same politicians that you're dying for, they are not even dying for you. These are the ones that are putting policies in place to keep you where you are, just in case you don't know it. And it's not only in the Caribbean, in Africa, in the Caribbean as well. So every time I hear about these grants now, every time, may I say to you, Tiashans, every time you hear your country is taking money from the IMF, World Bank, WHO, UNICEF, or even the charitable organizations, the Bill Gates, the Carter Foundation, every time you hear their name and every time you see their structure in Africa, know that they are there to continue the madness, to keep you in poverty, and then come on the backside with grants. That is what they do. They keep you in poverty and they come now as the good guy. They come now as the good guy, giving you handouts. Because that is what we have been reduced to. Global beggars and handouts. Africa does not need the world. The world needs Africa. And Tiashans, we have to lead. I said we have to lead. Because who else will lead? Look around you. Who else are you expecting to lead? Who else have this information that we are exposed to? If we are to become a United Nations of Africa, it has to be done by the Tiashans. And so I am saying, I am putting out a mandate, is that we need to begin to elect Tiashans in offices. We need to support Tiashans in offices. And so in your country, and you have a representative, a senator, or somebody that wants to be a president, prime minister, we need to support that person. Tiashan, we have to pull our monies together and support them. Because that is how change is going to become. You cannot regurgitate the same and expect a difference. It's Einstein who said it. Have you not done it long enough? Those that came and promising you presidents after presidents, party after party, have your situation changed? Have your health, your bank account changed? Is your community changed? Is your standard of life changed? Is your opportunities for your children change? I said we are graduating youths with doctorate, master's, and bachelor's degree, associate degree, diplomas, certificate from school to be hewers of woods and carriers of water. A matter of fact, it's not even bad with the hewers of wood, carriers of water, riding bikes. But we're also graduating them now to give to the Mediterranean Sea. Because that sea is what is now taking our young people in debt. So we're graduating them to debt. This is the future that we are giving our children, debt. Debt. A lot of their souls are resting in the Mediterranean Sea. And you are saying to abundance, abundance, I cannot sacrifice for my children to have a better future. It's a cursed person that will say it. Because and these are people that go, say that they're fasting every day, they're praying, they're this, forget about that thing. When you say that you are in alignment with what is right, then what is right is for you to create generational wealth for you and your children. That is right. And for you to do it, you will not scam people to get it done, because the infinite is not a scammer. For you to get wealth, it's a process. You have to sacrifice. You have to do things that others are not willing to do. Not they cannot do, but they are not willing to do, for you to have a different change, a different output. And so, Tiashans, you are now called upon to lead. To lead. This is an era where money, the greatest period of wealth, is taking place. It's time for you to stop the nonsense. It's time for you to move from the beggar's line to the lender's line. That is it. It's time for you to move from back of the class to the front of the class. You cannot use this system to get ahead. It has not allowed you to get ahead except you're a thief and a corruptee. That is why they enter politics, most of them, because they enter there for, you can listen to the radio, listen to the talk show programs. It's only when they put them in office they realize how worthless they are. But it is a lie. They know that they were worthless, but they sold their votes. They bribed their consciences. They took money under the table, just like the judges in the Bible. And they corrupt judgment then, and they're still doing the same today, taking bribe under the table, corrupting judgment. And you voters are taking bribe, corrupting your own consciences. And so when you have your children now graduate, can't get opportunities, you're looking around to blame who? Blame who? They're running from the continent because there are no opportunities here, because that is what was designed. TAC came to change that narrative, but you cannot fall in line because the vision is too big for you. And you cannot sacrifice, because that's what you say. You cannot sacrifice. And so I will continue this another time to elucidate a little bit why we are under attack and why there are servers right now that are hosting exchange, and why exchanges, especially, not cryptocurrency anymore, but why exchanges are under attack. It's very critical for you to understand. They're not going after cryptocurrency, because anybody can create a cryptocurrency. Any thief, any robber can create cryptocurrency now. It doesn't take anything to create cryptocurrency. But the exchanges are what are fundamental. And there is where they're going now, because there are few exchanges around the world. Even Binance. A matter of fact, Binance have to run out of the US and out of Europe, basically. Gone to the Middle East. Ripple, I think, that have a case with the SEC. They say if they lose the case, they will leave the US. That's what it is. Because US is the devil itself. That is in the Bible. Go to Revelation. The lamb like beast. That is America. Speak like a lamb, but one day will come as a dragon. That is the devil. That's the central point of satanic. That's America right there. You can't touch them, but I can. Because I am living for a purpose, and I will die for a purpose. This is Chief Abundance. Good morning.